Hear me drop my phone?
No.
I heard it.
Did you hear? I turned, I pointed, I was like, yeah, we can put it back there. Turned, smacked the shit out of my phone by accident. And I tried to grab it, didn't. It hit every corner of this room. It could not have been louder.
Oh, no. Hold on one second. My mom's calling me. Hello? Yeah.
Vince, before you got on, I was eating dinner with Kevin and his wife, and she was like, hey, do you even know what Facebook is? And I was like, yeah, it's how the boomers communicate these days. And his mom literally calls and goes, I have a Facebook question.
Mom, you just made the intro. Oh, I got it, you fucker. He's dead. He's dead. Dead.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone. If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes. Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach. That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.
Welcome
what are we talking about? I didn't know if you would have made it. Like, what are you talking about? I was just going to do Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I'm going to flow. Let's just fucking flow. Let's just fucking do this. We're good enough at this. We're 61 episodes in. We can just go and do it.
This episode is so off the rails.
But so good. Welcome. Fuck. All right, here we go. Brown cow. Welcome to episode 61 of Birds vs. Boys. We have a packed show for you today, including a phenomenal interview that I will let Aidan introduce for you in the technical notes. But you got Kmess here, Aidan alongside. Vince is behind the scenes producing. As always, we are brought to you by amazing Stateside Vodka, who now has vodka sodas in a can. I have contacted the owner. Hopefully soon we will be doing a live taste test during an episode. Check back for more on that, but head to your liquor store and pick one of those up. Aidan, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm on a high of all sorts. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about football and how this is supposed to be the dead period, and 2 different sports are in their playoffs, deep in their playoffs, and baseball is in month 3 already, and yet we still have topics to discuss in the NFL. Nobody else can do that. I'm excited. Great interview. This is a great show.
It is. All right, so tell the people who is joining us today.
All right, so tonight, technical notes. We do have Rob Ellis. He is on 94.1 WIP. He has been really everywhere. He's just like a Philly sports media legend at this point. I think that's how you introed him in our interview. Mm-hmm. Former Breakfast on Broad, which I loved that show before. And he also is working on a podcast project right now for the Eagles. We'll touch on that as well. As always, follow us on Twitter and continue to like the videos, thumbs up on YouTube, and subscribe. We saw a influx of subscribers recently on YouTube, which is fantastic. Whether you're watching or listening, we really appreciate both.
We do. Before we get into the meat and potatoes here, Aidan, I have one question for you. I need a caffeine update.
I did relapse a little bit, just a bit.
Okay.
I think I've concocted a plan for this caffeine thing. What if I just took it in the afternoon at like 3:00 and just took half of a pill instead of a whole one? Because then I'm cutting it down, and you're also not like doing it at lunchtime, so it's like messing your stomach up or killing your appetite one way or another. What if I just did it like 3:00?
I mean, if I took caffeine at 3:00, I'd be awake all night. So, but I'm old.
Well, I stay up till like midnight, so it's usually winding out. But I don't know. I don't know if I've been staying up in bed because because of the caffeine pill, or because I stay up in bed and think of every substitution pattern of the remaining teams in the NBA playoffs that would face the Sixers. Both, I don't know which one is keeping me up at night, but it's usually something.
One could lead to the other.
I don't know which one leads to the other. You know. It could be that the caffeine pill is sending me down that path, but no, I think so. Here's the other thing: I ran out, so I haven't been taking it just because I don't have it.
So that's not you'll couple years. In a couple years, give me a call. You'll be drinking coffee.
Okay.
All right. Not a ton to talk about. We talked about that in our pre-show meeting. Not a ton going on. And we discuss a bulk of Cowboys and Eagles talk and NFC talk and post-June 1 talk in our interview with Rob Ellis. It's coming up soon. But before we get to that, is there anything Eagles-wise that you would like to touch on?
Just Zach Ertz. I know we talked about it with Rob. We'll take it a little bit further here. It's getting to that point where it's going to be like awkward for him to be on the team. He cried in the post-game presser or the postseason presser, and like we know he doesn't want to be here, but every other team knows he doesn't want to be here, so it's hard to trade him. I am just interested to see how it plays out, because I think we've hit that point where everything has died down and there were things to distract us, like the draft and free agency and the schedule and what rookies you got. And now as you get into the dog days of summer, you're like, all right, we have to make some decisions. And it's like that case. And then in a much more extreme level, the Texans and the NFL have to figure out what they're going to do with Deshaun Watson. Yes. So it's like you're starting to realize that some of these teams are running out of time for these awkward decisions that they have to make.
How are you going to feel seeing Ertz, let's say, in a Bills jersey?
Mentally accepted it. Hope he brings a Super Bowl home for the Bills. I love the Bills fan base. Speaking of that, our TikTok tonight is most passionate fan bases. I wonder if Buffalo will come up. So if he goes up there and wins another ring, I would be happy for both him and them.
Yeah, I would say the same. I've been on the other side of the rivalry, you could say, on the Zach Ertz and from the beginning, but he's always been a player that I respected, hated because he always killed us. But at the same time, I mean, there was nothing to dislike about him as a football player or a person. It was just the jersey he wore.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I loved him. He's 31. I believe if he wants to go somewhere else, why hold him back? Mm-hmm. And look, I get that you're trying to get good compensation for him, but really he had a terrible season and there's nothing we can do about it. So there's just no value you're going to get for him. I don't even blame Howie. I can't believe I'm saying that. I am a new man, apparently. I gave up caffeine. I'm giving Howie Roseman excuses, but it's a tough position to be in to trade that guy. He's a fan favorite. He's a team hero. He's the Super Bowl. Just some of the catches, not just the touchdown catch, but also the 4th and 1 catch as well. Like he has some of the most iconic catches in franchise history. So it's a weird spot to be in. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So that's all you got?
That's all for me, because I liked where we went with Rob, and I'm gonna save the good stuff for the interview. How about you? What do you got going on out in Cowboys land? I know you're trying to tease me with these CeeDee Lamb videos again.
So I just wanted, that was my first question. Did you watch the video of CeeDee Lamb that I tweeted at you?
Yes, I watched the CeeDee Lamb video of him mossing some no-name cornerback on the Cowboys.
Anthony Brown, who they just signed.
Exactly. So he's fantastic. Can't believe that we don't have him. It eases the pain having Devontae Smith. I'll tell you that much.
A little bit.
I'm starting to heal as a human being. It's like after, you go through a breakup, stings for a little while, then all of a sudden you start to feel reborn. I'm getting to that point.
We'll see what happens. The coaching staff is saying they can already see the difference in CeeDee Lamb from his rookie year to this year, and they really think he's going to be taking the strides that a player should be taking after their first year, and the upside is just unbelievable. They're saying with CeeDee, which I mean, I think we already know that. on the other end of the ball, on the other side of the ball. So there's been a lot of speculation around some of the linebackers in Dallas. Obviously, Jalen Smith changed his number to 9. He's getting a lot of flack for that, not only because it's Romo's old number, but
From you.
Yes, from me. I'm have been destroying my own fan base on Twitter, but then at the same time having those people follow me after 2 hours of arguments, which there's nothing better than getting into a Twitter argument and then at the end of it the person follows you and you become friends. Nothing
That's happened to me before. We'd argue for 30 minutes and I'd be like, wait, I kind of like this guy.
Yep. Love it. Love when that happens. So that happened last week about Jalen Smith, but a lot of rumors around Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. Vander Esch obviously has been injured a ton, and Jaylon just doesn't know how to play football anymore. So they obviously drafted Micah Parsons, who had an interception in OTAs this week again. Jabril Cox. There it is. And they've had Keanu Neal playing strictly linebacker so far, the OTAs. He hasn't taken a single rep at safety, so he's going to be a linebacker, probably with Micah and Jabril
Cox.
Thank you. So there's been rumors about on trade night, round 1, they were trying to trade Jalen Smith. The Cowboys are denying it, but it is somewhat officially out there that they had him on the block. There were no bites, obviously. And now there's been rumors about trying to trade Leighton Vander Esch. The Steelers have been rumored for him. I think that would be a nice fit. But now it's coming back that both linebackers are in the future plans for the Dallas Cowboys, which totally tells me one of them will not be on the team when the season starts.
Probably not.
I mean, you got to get the number 11 overall pick on the field. You just have to.
Yeah.
So, and I think Jabril Cox is going to be the steal of the draft. So
Cox.
it surprised me, and it would not bother me if one of Jaylon and Leighton was not on this team, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, not a ton going on. It's just fun to see video clips of guys getting after it a little bit. And like we've said it before, the big names on both of our teams are in camp, are at OTAs, where other teams are like, "Yep, we're not going." So that makes it even more fun for us.
Yeah, I love watching the clips. It just gets me. It's that little taste, It's the bread before dinner.
Yep.
If you're at a nice Italian restaurant, dip the bread in the oil, take a bite. It's good. It's not the meal. It's not going to be that big plate of spaghetti you're expecting, or ravioli, whatever you get. But it's still really good and hold you over till we get there.
You ever go to a restaurant and you order something, and then the bread comes, and then the appetizers come, and the bread's so good, and like the calamari is so good, and the bruschetta is so good that then you're like, and then that's over, and you get a little disappointed that you're like, my meal's not. I don't think my meal's going to be as good as that. Was unbelievable. But then the meal comes and it's amazing.
Sort of. I would say there's been instances where it was so good that I ate like an entire loaf of bread at Macaroni Grill, and then I realized that I'm not going to be hungry for the actual meal.
Yeah. Can we just get a to-go bag?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Speaking of to-goes, that's not a good transition at all, but would you like to go to our interview?
Yeah, you really saved that one because I did not know where you were going with that. But yes, I'll intro it for you. So, as we said, we've got Rob Ellis on tonight. He's been one of my favorite Philly media personalities for quite some time. And when you meet somebody like that, you could go down one of those meeting your heroes is like seeing how magic works kind of lane, and you're a little bit nervous, but I thought this was an A1 fantastic interview from the jump. There's a few secrets. We'll get into a lot of NFL stuff. We'll talk NFC East. We'll talk a lot of Jalen Hurts. We'll talk about Rob's podcast and just the rivalry overall, which is perfect for this show. Very similar, his show to our show. Just want to put that out there. But it was a fantastic interview. I will save the surprises. You'll know it right away. So here it is, the interview with Rob Ellis, presented by Stateside Vodka.
All right, Aidan, we are now joined by one of the best voices in Philadelphia sports media. I know for a fact you are one of Aidan's favorites. You can hear him on WIP, the Return Game podcast, and almost anywhere else you want. You can find him roaming around Delco. It is the one and only Rob Ellis, my friend. Rob, how are you?
I was hanging out with the Mare of Easttown, the other day. We had a good time. First of all, have you guys seen that? It's ridiculously good.
Wait, hold on. Before we started, we were like, I hope he watched Mare of Easttown so we can ask him about it.
So good. I'm so disappointed and bummed it's over. It was one of those series. Like I want to hang out with Mare. Like I don't want it to be over.
Yeah, I want to go drink beers with her.
Yeah. It's like you're hooked and you're in when you have that feeling when you're like, I'm really let down that this is over. And I was really like, my wife and I usually watch it we don't usually watch it that Sunday or whatever. We'll catch it like Tuesday or Wednesday. And we just watched it 2 nights ago. And I'm like, that's a void in my life now that it's over.
That's
during Memorial Day weekend. I went to the beer distributor and I don't drink Rolling Rock, but I was like looking at the Rolling Rock. I'm like, maybe I want that.
Do it, man. You got to start watching like Penn State basketball and drinking Rolling Rocks, I think.
Yeah. Last night for dinner, I had half a cheesesteak and a beer, and I was like, "This is the most Mare of Easttown thing ever."
You got to wear it with either your flannel on or your coat on, while like on the couch. You can't even.
Yeah.
Did you expect that outcome?
I didn't. I did not predict the kid. I thought the brother who took the rap for his son. I thought he was taking the rap for his brother at first. I thought that's the way it was. I knew it was going to be twisty. I didn't think it'd be something so obvious. I think it was too obvious to be the one kid, Dylan, the kid with the black hair, who supposedly was the father. We're giving so much away to people who haven't seen it, but that's your problem for not watching it. But no, I did not see that. But it was just another, just gut wrencher, man. It was great though.
And I said to Aidan too, that kid did not say one word in the whole show till the end. And it was like you said, Aidan, like hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, he was in so many scenes, but then he never spoke. And it was like a hiding in plain sight kind of thing where he was always there and he was connected to all of those characters. So you're not led to expect him, but he is there that entire time. I thought it was so well written and well done.
It was. And I think we all assumed that, the dad was a cheater or whatever. And the kid just saw him cheating again. And that's what their little secret was. Their little secret was a little deeper than just the dad fooling around. So real good. And the guy who wrote it, Brad Inglesby, it's a great story. His father played at Villanova. His brother played for Notre Dame. He's coaching Delaware now. It's a real sort of, there's a lot of sports ties with the guy too.
Oh,
wow. So his dad played at Villanova, and then the scene in the background, they have Penn State basketball on. He couldn't sneak Villanova in.
His brother played at Notre Dame and coaches at Delaware. You think you could squeeze in one of those 3 schools rather than a little Penn State love? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't believe you can sneak that in.
Don't love it. Don't love that. All right. If you haven't watched it, make sure you watch it. And if you haven't watched it, I apologize for the spoilers, but it's your problem. Yeah. It's been almost a week. Okay. It's been almost a week. You should have watched it. All right, Rob. So before we get into, Eagles talk, NFL talk, my first question for you is I need to know if you have gotten over the crushing defeat I handed you last year during the Branded Sports Chip-Off Challenge.
No, Kevin, I've actually, it's gotten weird. I just live in the backyard. This is the only time I've ever come into the house since that defeat. I've been out chipping balls in my backyard since. So it's bordering on obsession now.
Barefoot. You're out there barefoot through the winter chipping.
Yeah, my son filming every one of my bad shots and we're critiquing it. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you know, but I won the whole thing. So at least you lost to the champion. So that's okay.
That's it. Okay. Well, that's not much solace, man. I need a rematch at some point.
Oh, I'm in. Whenever you
need.
Right. Maybe we'll hit the real links one day.
Okay. I'm down.
That too.
I'm in.
All caddy.
I'm a grip and rip, man. There's not a whole lot of studying. I'm not Sergio, man. I'm not studying every shot. So just so you know.
Nope, me either.
All right.
You have nothing to worry about that.
We'll make good golf partners then. That's good.
And we drink beers.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a must. That is a must. That's
all right. So we've covered golf and Mare of Easttown. So I'll hit you with a few Eagles questions, right. Given we are a football podcast. So it kind of feels like the storm clouds have gone away that were over the Eagles this offseason a little bit. So how do you feel about them right now going into the season? Are you optimistic or still a little bit cautious because of the amount of inexperience that they have?
I'm cautious because we don't know what the quarterback is, more than anything else. It's an easy answer. It's a pretty obvious one, but I think it rings true. Like, if the offensive line stays healthy, you got something to work with. I'm a believer in Devontae Smith. I think they've improved the running game. So they've given him options that maybe weren't there last year. And in fairness to him, I mean, 4 games is no sample size for any quarterback. You're going to have some ups and downs, and it's exactly what he had. But that doesn't mean I'm sold on him either, and I'm not just going to be blindly optimistic and say, oh, he's going to be great. I don't know. I think they're doing the right thing. I mean, they're giving him a chance this year. They got tons of ammo, ready to go if he can't play, either to trade up to get an established guy or to trade up to get the guy they like in the draft. So from that standpoint, they're set up if he fails. They have a landing spot. But I think, look, the intangibles are there. Whenever we talk about Jalen Hurts, nobody questions leadership or football IQ or, all those kind of things. Can he throw the ball well enough in this league, in a league where you have to be able to throw it? And that's really what it amounts to. I know he can run, but can you throw it? Are you going to go to your second, third option and be able to complete that pass? That's really what it amounts to for him, for me. So as far as the general team goes, I actually like Nick Sirianni. I don't care about the rah-rah stuff that everybody makes fun of and all that. I like the fact that the guy's enthusiastic. And I think Doug got a little burned last year, and they need someone who's kind of got that edge to him, that vibe to him. And I think defensively they're going to be a little bit better, and they're in a bad division. So I think, is 8 wins a possibility? But even when you start thinking about 8 wins, like I hear people throw 8, 9, 10 out there, you're more than doubling your win total from last year. That's a lot. Like if they're an 8 and 9 team, to me, and they're on the come, like that's not a failure. That's okay. I kind of get it, especially if Hurts can play. Like if you're seeing other areas where they're lacking and the quarterback can play and they're 8 and 9, and you're like, I really like what the coach did. It's got that first year Andy Reid vibe, that first year Doug Peterson vibe. And I think you can live with that. But I don't think they're a 10-win team. I'm optimistic in some areas. In other areas, they're still not good enough. I mean, who's the other corner besides Darius Slay? Something you didn't address in the draft high enough. You didn't feel the need to draft that. They're not good enough there. I still don't think their linebackers are good enough. So, I like Ryan Kerrigan. It's an interesting signing because it means they're trying to win now. This isn't a rebuild, and it's kind of counter to the way Jeffrey Lurie was talking. It's that vibes me that they think they can win the division.
Yeah, I get the feeling they'll be a fun team, but not a good team. At least there'll be more positive vibes than last year where it was just miserable the entire time. But yeah, like you said, if they double their win total, get to 8 or 9 wins, and then you're sitting there with 3 first-round picks the following year, I think that's an up and up. It may be looked at as a failure in this city because anything that's not a Super Bowl is, but it is somewhat of a success if they get to 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think, they probably can't get worse quarterback play than they got last year, right? So you would think to some degree that's going to be better. The odds are you're not going to be as gutted with injuries, but the offensive line's old, and you got a lot of guys who have a long injury history. So I don't know if you can completely bank on that. I would think it's not going to be quite as bad where there's one man standing in Jason Kelce. So from that standpoint, is there a little bit of reason for optimism? Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think they've improved themselves in some areas, but I still don't think, like you said, a good team? Nah. Much more entertaining than last year? Yeah.
Probably. Maybe like I don't want to say a process Sixers team because there were some of them that were terrible. But once Embiid and Simmons started playing, like that first year maybe, where you're like, yeah, they're definitely not winning the NBA Finals and they blow every lead, but they're at least contentious. Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, this all changes if Hurts can play. If Hurts can play, then it's a completely different story. But right now, I go in very much with you got to show me before I buy in anything. I hear a lot of people saying, I know he's the real deal. Based on what? There's a reason why he fell to the second round. Okay. I'm not knocking him, but we need to see it. And the biggest knock on him coming out was his ability to get through that second, third progression without just automatically tucking it. Like some guys can get away with that to an extent, Lamar Jackson, although he hasn't gone deep in the playoffs, but very rarely. It's more about Russell Wilson buying time than making the pass down the field. And we need to see that from Jalen Hurts.
Agreed. Agreed. Now let's focus on one weapon he may have or may not have. So this has been the hot button topic. Zach Ertz.
Mhm.
He's 31. He's owed $8.5 million this year. He doesn't want to be here. Do you see him back with this team next year, or has that ship sailed?
I think the ship has sailed. I think he's going to be gone. I think Howie is he's playing a little bit of a dangerous game right now, poker, because he does want some value in return when everybody knows the way last year went, how the injuries, the lack of production. It's a pretty big ticket too. You're going to be paying this guy at post 30 years old. So if people around the league know it. What I think you may see happen, this one's where it's going to get real tough. I don't know that you can start training camp with him because he doesn't want to be here, but I think the Eagles would ideally like to start camp with him, see if somebody loses somebody. Think in the 17 season when they made the Ronald Darby trade. Like, these deals can go down in camp, and I think that's sort of what they're hoping for, or else this would have already been done with him. I don't think he's an Eagle this year. So if they can't get anything, they may have to just release him, and I know they don't want to do that, but it will also give him a little bit of money back on the cap post June 1st. So.
And if a guy doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here,
Yeah.
And he was crying in his postseason presser, and pretty much to me that was a tall tale sign. Like, this is over. This is it.
It was a goodbye.
So, and I know that hurts the trade value because it's clear that he thinks it's over. So other teams think it's over. They're not going to offer too much because of that. But I do think no matter how it happens, it's got to happen that he won't be here come September.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we can sit here and do the old school hard line. He's got a contract. He's going to play for the Eagles. We hear that all the time in sports. We know it doesn't work that way. If a guy wants out, he's checked out mentally, especially in that sport, he's not going to be of any use to you. You think about it last year. He set the tone before the season even started, complaining about his contract, right? You could tell. And look, he's been an all-time great Eagle, but you could tell he was checked out before the season even started. And you think that's going to be any better this year after all the crap that's gone down? I don't think so.
No chance.
And one more quick thing before we go to the next topic, but on this, Dallas got this whole season is about evaluating the young guys to see if they're part of the future. Like, they got to make a decision to extend Dallas Goedert, and he brought it up that they're doing contract extension talks. It's like, you got to see him out there, and if Ertz is here, you're not getting a full evaluation like that. So
yeah, no, you're right about that. I'll tell you the other thing with I like Goddard, but I don't love Goddard. Like, stay healthy, man, and catch the ball in big spots. There were too many times, the year before where he wasn't alone, by the way, but there were a lot of throws that were right on the money before Ertz melted last year. I'm talking about the 19 season. I remember one in particular. He dropped an absolute game winner. Like, he's got to be better. I know he's a better blocker than Ertz. I know that there's other things that he brings. He's certainly much younger, but he's got to show it. And I think it's probably a smart investment if they can get him at a relatively decent rate. But I'm not as sold on Dallas Goedert future Pro Bowler as maybe some other people are.
I'm the same way. I think week 3 against the Lions is the game you're thinking of with that drop where it's ingrained in my mind. It was
actually a play where Wentz escapes, and he's got it was like a 50-50 ball, and he completely dropped it on like the 2-yard line. He could have fell in for a touchdown, and that was a bad loss. Yep.
And Eagles could have beat the Cowboys that one year if he didn't have that offensive pass interference against Jeff Heath. That was a great call by the refs. No. That officiating reminded me of the Sixers game on Wednesday night.
Oh, it was awful. That series was awful. I don't want to get sidetracked on that, but those officials were terrible.
I hear you. How did I know Kevin was going to jump in with that, man? And by the way, I do have a little special visual treat for you guys. Do you want it now? Or do you want it later? What do you want?
I'm always down for a visual.
Well, yeah, let's do it right here.
Oh, come on.
There it is.
Okay. This shirt goes back when I was a kid. I was probably like 6 or 7. My dad bought like 8 of these, and I used to wear it when I would go to bed. It'd be down like past my knees, so I had to save this one. This, you can see it's kind of wrinkled. This one came out of the drawer, man. I usually save this for the first Eagles Cowboys regular season game, but because I had my boy Kevin here, I had to roll that out. So
I thought it was just a nice, pretty Eagle.
See, I teased you guys. I gave you this much for a while, man.
I gotta get my wife one of those.
Yes, I could tell you where to get it. Well, we'll take care of that. That'll be a nice little Christmas present for you.
That would be. She would love that. All right. So shifting gears from strictly Eagles, obviously the name of the show is Birds versus Boys, so we talk a lot of Cowboys Eagles, but we also go all the way around the NFL and specifically on the NFC East. So you mentioned obviously Hurts is starting this year for the Eagles. Dak is back for the Cowboys. Washington is coming off of the division win, and the Giants have made some additions, especially offensively this year. So who do you see going into this season is in the driver's seat for the NFC East this year?
I'll tell you, I really like Washington's defense, and I like some of the weapons that they've added. I think they're going to be good. Look, it's a stopgap with Fitzpatrick. There's no question about that, and he's not the long-term answer. But if you're asking me this year, if I had to handicap this thing, months in advance, I'd probably go Washington with the contingency policy of if Dak is fully healthy, Dallas is going to put up a lot of points. Defensively, I need to see it from them a little bit.
Still a lot of question marks.
Yeah, that's why right now I would lean Washington. As far as the Giants, just to hit everybody real quick, and then we'll circle back. But for the Giants, I'm not a believer in Daniel Jones. I'm just not. And as long as he's their starting quarterback, sorry, I'm just not believing it. Like, I think Joe Judge is going to get them better, incrementally better each year. They're going to be probably a tough team and all that. Like, I don't think the division's going to be the mess that it was last year. But I'm not buying the Giants. I would lean Washington right now. I think that defensive front is nasty. I think they got some good linebackers. Their secondary is pretty strong. They have real nice playmakers for Fitzpatrick, who in the right setting can get you to the playoffs. I don't think he can win you a Super Bowl or get you deep. So I would lean Washington, Dallas, but I could see two teams coming out of the East this year where you couldn't even think about that last year.
I think Aidan and I are pretty much aligned with you on that one. I mean, I'm not that rah-rah, we them boys, Cowboys fan that every year they're like, nope, we're winning the Super Bowl. It's just that defense, just like you said, they need to show it. Obviously, their big thing was Dan Quinn is going to fix this defense, but can he really fix a back end that has the three of us playing?
Right. And the other thing, Kev, just to pick up on that point, I don't love Mike McCarthy either. Like, if I'm looking at the division, Sirianni's a total question mark. I think Judge is a nice coach, but the Daniel Jones things can't cancel it out. I think Rivera, in terms of like getting that thing stabilized and growing it, is to me the cream of the crop in the division too, from a coaching standpoint.
Agreed. No, Mike McCarthy's not on my happy list. I think Kellen Moore will be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys starting 2022.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, Jerry had such a soft spot for Garrett that he kept him around forever. I don't know that he has that same soft spot, although he is paying McCarthy a lot of money. That's the only consideration that, when you're thinking about this.
He is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. So going NFL in general here, we're post June 1 now, and obviously everybody knows that that's a big date for moving players, and there are a ton of big name players that are being rumored post June 1 moves. Julio Jones, Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Do you think we're going to see a flurry of moves, or is this a lot of talk and guys are going to pretty much stay put?
I think ultimately Aaron Rodgers stays put. I think they'll do something to throw him enough of a bone that makes it symbolic, where they give him more cash that he'll calm down. I think that'll get done before they get to camp. So, and I think he likes LaFleur, which helps. If this was still McCarthy, then I think he might take more of a hard line. I think his issue is more kind of with the franchise than it is LaFleur. I think Julio's gone, and New England wouldn't shock me. There's a lot of other landing spots that would make sense for him, but I think Atlanta's in a weird place. Like, ultimately, what are you? Like, what do you think you are? Are you trying to milk a couple more years out of Matt Ryan? If that's the case, then would you maybe keep Julio around? Look, I think the team has told his agent, and maybe some of this is based off of the Shannon Sharp, ridiculous, whatever that was on that show. But I think he's been told, we're going to get you out of here, but you just got to give us some time to make it happen. So I don't think that was just, I want out. I think I've been told I'm out of here. So I think Julio's gone. I think Aaron Rodgers stays.
I am in agreement completely on that.
I think we're in agreement on that one. Although, again, You kind of hurt your trade value when you do a phone interview with Shannon and say, I'm out of there, because every team's like, well, now he's gone. So we know he has to leave.
How bizarre was that whole thing, man? Like, I still don't know if he knew he was on or not. It was the whole thing was really weird. Really weird.
I think we broke that down for 20 minutes compared to like landing spots for him or where he would fit places. We were just like, is this staged or not?
Look, I'll tell you though, naturally Eagles fans, we should get him. Blah, blah. I don't at this point at his age, I think it's diminishing returns at that dollar value that he's getting. So, I think he's going to be good. I think he's better for a team that's really close than he would be for a team like the Eagles, who I don't think are that close, from an Eagles perspective. And Dallas has enough receivers, and he's too much money for Dallas anyway. It's got to be the right cap fit.
That I was laughing so much about, and we talked about it last week on here when he was in the Cowboys sweatshirt, and people were like, I'm like, listen, he was training in Dallas. Amari Cooper was probably training with him and just threw him the sweatshirt, and or he was just strictly trolling.
Yeah. In this day and age, it could very easily have been the latter. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially with that phone interview on Undisputed.
It's unbelievable, man. Yeah, but I think I think it's good though that we see a little bit more movement. Back in the day, you rarely ever saw like big NFL trades. I like that you see it now. I think it keeps the and the NFL is the best at this, making this thing 365 days a year anyway. But it just adds a little bit more to the intrigue. Whereas even you think about like trade deadlines and other sports, like the NBA, it's terrible now. Mm-hmm. Major League Baseball, it's brutal. It used to be great. Now it's a yawn. So I think Rodgers stays, and I think Julio's an absolute goner.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we have 2 questions left, unrelated to the NFL season, but this first one still very much a part of this podcast. So I know that you are doing a podcast now called Return Game, and you're a great narrator for it. It's like it's kind of a different thing for you.
Yeah,
compared to like the radio show and stuff. Yeah,
we did the first season. We did it around one game, the House of Pain game, which is the Eagles Oilers in 1991. But because there were so many branches off of that, like Buddy Ryan had just gotten fired, and that team won 10 games, yet they didn't get in the playoffs. They had the number 1 defense against the run, the pass, and points. It was crazy, but they didn't get in, and they were down to like their 5th quarterback, Jeff Kemp. So we decided this year, just broaden it out, because look, we all know about the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry, but do you really know where it started? Do you really know how it began in 1968 when Timmy Brown got his teeth knocked out by Leroy Jordan, or some of the other stuff that went along the way? And the cool thing was we talked to a lot of the principals involved, like no disrespect, a lot of the guys who are gone, but the guys who were still alive and lived it, we walk all the way from the 60s up until present day and everything in between. And we also get stars involved, like, David Boreanaz, who is a Philly guy, huge Eagles fan. He talks about his fandom. DJ Jazzy Jeff gives this crazy story about where he was for the Super Bowl. You guys, that's a great episode, and it's a bizarre story. You got to listen to that one. But there's all kinds of really cool little tidbits involved, and guys who play. Seth Joyner is ridiculous in it. It's a lot of fun.
I was just listening to the 44-6 episode the other day because that was my favorite rivalry game of all time.
Were you with Kevin, or no, just by yourself, Aidan?
I told him that I was listening to it. He was literally the first person that I told.
But here's the interesting thing. It's not just totally Eagles-centric. Like you get Charlie Waters and you get Cliff Harris and you get a lot of guys who play for the Cowboys as well talking about their experience, like coming here. Like Cliff Harris had a cheering section here. And like other guys were like, we got up for it because they were in our grill. Like we go to other places and we'd be falling asleep on the sideline. Philly, we always knew like there was going to be juice. So it's pretty cool from both sides.
Were there any stories on the podcast that didn't quite make the cut of the podcast that you heard that you could share with us where you're like, that was cool, I wish that was included in the episode?
We did a pretty good job of getting like the really interesting ones in. And by the way, you can check it out wherever you get your podcast or PhiladelphiaEagles.com. But no, there wasn't a lot left on the cutting room table. I mean, I got to tell you, when you do, I think it was 9 episodes altogether, you're using the juicy stuff. And yeah, there wasn't really much. It was more for me, like there are a lot of games you remember, but you don't know some of the inside anecdotes that guys throw out there. Like, hey, this is what went down at halftime, or we were thinking about this, or what, whatever. And little things you thought. It's funny how, like, you remember something one way, but it was a completely different way when you hear these guys tell it who played. So it's no, from that perspective, it's all there for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, it was very well done.
Thank you.
I mean, there's no other rivalry like it in the
Nothing.
in the NFL. There really isn't.
No, and you know Kev, we did. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We talk about like other ones like Green Bay and Chicago and all that. I'm sorry, man. I'm listening like to their fans, and it's kind of like, yeah, you get up for it, but it's not like this. It's just not. And I know we like to fancy ourselves as the most rabid fan base, here in Philadelphia in general, but there really isn't anything like the Cowboys and the Eagles.
No, I mean, there's guys. What was that? A couple of years ago for the funeral game, they're bringing caskets to the stadium with the Cowboys logo on it. Like that doesn't happen in Green Bay. They're too nice.
No, there's it gets taken to a different level. Sometimes a little bit out of control. But I wouldn't want to. I'd hate to be in a place like St. Louis, like for example, baseball heaven, where no matter what the team does, it's great job, fellas.
Yeah.
Who wants to live like that? No. Like nobody. No. What are you, Stepford? Come on, man.
And even though the hatred is high, I feel like after we've created this podcast, I've kind of brought a little bit of Dallas. I don't want to say love to Aidan, but I think a tiny bit of less hate because we've had a lot of the media on and guys from your sister station, 105.3 The Fan down there. We've had, RJ Choppy on and Jeff Kavanaugh. And he's every time after we've had one of those guys on, he's like, damn it, I like these people.
Aidan, you're giving in, man. No. Come on, man. Stay strong, dude. Don't let him do this to you, okay? I know how he manipulates. I've seen it on the golf course. Don't give in, dude. Okay?
It's like a TV salesman tactic. I'm going to walk away with this car.
hey, when in doubt, man, just remember, okay? Thank you.
One of those. I think I got to get one of these too.
I'm going to take care of the entire crowd. Kev, I'll get your wife, and Aidan, I got you, and I want it hanging. And I'll get 4. 1 for Aidan, 1 for your wife, 1 for you if the Eagles sweep the Cowboys this year. You have to wear it. And 1 just hanging in Aidan's background. That's what we need. Okay.
We could do that.
Got room. We can make it happen.
We can do it for sure.
All right.
And we will reciprocate with a Birds vs. Boys shirt to you.
Nice. I'm in. I like it. I am the king of swag, man. If it's free, it's for me. Let's bring it.
Amen.
There you go.
All right, boys.
Perfect. All right. I got one more question for you before we head out. Yeah. Totally unrelated than the Eagles, because I know you do a lot of you're on Sundays in WIP, usually wrapping up after the Phillies game. So I'll give you the platform. Could you fix the Phillies for me in 60 seconds?
Total team makeover. The problem with the Phillies, there's a lot of problems. They're horrendous defensively. I think they'll start hitting when they get healthy, but their defense is not going to get better. Their defense is horrendous. If I could fix it in 60 seconds, I would swap out the Dodgers farm system with the Phillies farm system. That's the only way that this can get fixed. This is years of mistakes, missed drafts, inability to cultivate and grow a guy when you get him, and now you're paying the bill. The bill has come due. And they don't have enough money on the credit card, on the debit card, in cash, and they got to try to sneak out. They got to do a dine and dash. It's not a pretty situation. So that's the only way. There's no magic wand for this, unfortunately.
No.
I don't know if that was 60 seconds or not, but
I think yeah. It's so funny. We were on such a high, and then you bring the Phillies up, and it's just doom and gloom immediately.
Well, look, here's the thing. They've gotten, if you want one positive, they're the top 3 of the rotation, even though Nola has been great, but the top 3 of the rotation has been pretty good. But nobody else has lived up to the billing even a little bit, and they're banged up on top of it. Think about the inability to call anybody up of any significance when these guys get hurt from your minor league system. It's a disgrace. It really is.
It is. It's kind of mind-blowing. All right, to bring the conversation back up and end it on a high note, let everybody know where they can listen to you, where they can get the podcast, how they can follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So at R. Ellis Sports on Twitter, WIP generally on Sundays. I just get and people ask me this all the time, and I appreciate it. It's very nice. And they're like, why aren't you on more during the week? I just can't do it with a lot of the projects I have, and that's not BS. So generally Sundays, sometimes Saturdays, but generally after the Phillies, as Aidan said, for WIP, at R. Ellis Sports on Twitter. And, of course, Birds, Boys, Bad Blood, season 2 of the return game, PhiladelphiaEagles.com, or wherever you get your podcast, Apple, wherever you get them. It's really easy listening, man. You jump in your car for your commute, boom, you're banging out a whole episode of it. It's like 20 minutes, nice bite size, in and out. Great stuff.
Love it. Love it. Well, sir, thank you for being on with us again. We will send you the shirt. We appreciate it. And we're going to have to get you on during the season.
Pleasure, guys. Have fun. Always love being with you, man. And you guys do a great job. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
And thank you for fighting through the technical difficulties as well.
We got it done. That's all that matters. Adapt and overcome. Yes.
Amen.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Rob.
Thank you.
Aidan, I mean, he's just the man. That was an unbelievable interview, and we had so much fun making it.
That was fantastic. Literally from the jump. Just how we got into Mare of Easttown. And we obviously prep, write interview questions and do all that. We were like, I was really thinking, should I ask him like if he watched Mare of Easttown, for him to just bring it up right away? It was so I lit up like a Christmas tree as soon as he said it. And right from then on, I knew it was going to be a fantastic 30-minute interview. Thank you again to Rob for coming on. And I really hope he comes back.
And I can't wait for you to be sitting across from me doing this podcast in one of those shirts.
That was the other thing. So peek behind the curtain for a second. So we bring him in, and at first the sound didn't work. So like we're playing with it. At no point did he show off his shirt.
Never.
So he kept it through all that, kept it through half of the interview. Not once. Like I stretch a lot sitting in these chairs. Not once. Kept it secret the entire time. What a fantastic interview.
He is a pure professional at everything he does.
Yes. All right. Let's transition to the TikToks for tonight. Vince, come on in, my friend. All right. Let's do our TikTok for tonight. For tonight, we have top 5 most passionate fan bases in the NFL.
This is going to go off.
I'm sure this will not get contested at all. I'm sure everyone will agree.
How are you not bringing up the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I can't wait for that first comment.
Duval.
The first person who says LA Chargers, I want you banned from TikTok.
Yes, forever. All right, let's go.
All right.
Let's
so we've got our normal triangle. I think we'll have some similar ones, but I don't know. I think I might have a few weird ones. So let's start. At 5, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the terrible towel is one of the most iconic things in all of sports, not just football. So at 5, I have Pittsburgh.
At 5, for me, I have the Cleveland Browns. Those people just root and sit through absolute shit for so many years, and they just stay, and they love it, and they're constantly drunk, but they are all in. Team doesn't win one game, they're all in.
Aidan, I wonder what that must be like.
What? Yeah,
watching
there
a terrible
and being
team
drunk all the time.
No, watching a terrible team for years, waiting for almost no payoff.
The story of the Phillies of this decade.
So number 5, I have the 12 Seattle Seahawks fans. I mean, they're notorious for. I think they have the record for loudest stadium. I don't know if that still stands or not. But apparently they have that's all they have up there. Them and the Mariners. And since Ken Griffey, there hasn't really been much to root for there. Maybe Ichiro, but no one gets loud for Ichiro.
Pretty sure they have like one of the best MLS teams in the MLS, and they like pack that stadium for soccer.
How's the WNBA team too? While we're talking about it.
What about the Kraken?
Yeah, true.
They're coming.
Yeah.
Also, bring the Supersonics back.
Yes, please. Please.
All right. At 4, I have the New England Patriots. Just Boston sports fans in general are usually passionate. I hate them with all my heart because of the Celtics, but I do have to respect that. No matter what sport it is, that town is 4 for 4 all the way.
4 for me is your Philadelphia Eagles. The fans are just rabid. They are insane. Like we said with the interview with Rob Ellis, dudes brought a casket with the Cowboys logo on it. Fans fought Mike Scott because he was wearing a Bleepskins jersey. Okay, they fought a player from their own basketball team. That's all you need to know. Eagles 4.
Number 4 for me, I have Bills Mafia. There's just nothing like that team. They lose points for being a little soft on opponents. They would have been a lot higher on me if they weren't donating to charities and being good people all the time. I think to be a passionate fan base, you have to be terrible, terrible people. So that's the only knock against them is they're too nice.
Respect it.
Right.
All right. At 3, I have the Seattle Seahawks. We talked about the 12th man. It's pretty much an earthquake in there. It's a reason why it's so tough to play there and so tough to win on the road when you go to Seattle. You're going across the country and playing in front of those screaming fans, and you can't hear yourself think. So at 3, I have Seattle.
3 for me. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like you said, those terrible towels are unbelievable. They travel like no other fan base. You just, they could be in Dallas, they could be anywhere, and that stadium is going to be black and gold. So Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 for me.
Number 3 for me, I have Tom Brady fans. They moved from the north to the south. They'll ride or die with him no matter where he goes. And I think, there's no one louder than the Tom Brady stand. So Tom Brady, number 3.
At 2, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a city full of absolute maniacs who shows up no matter what, no matter the sport, and screams their head off, not only at the opposing team, but when we're playing poorly, probably ourselves too. We travel well. We pack every arena and every stadium that we're in. It's always there's always some crazy story involving Eagles fans, no matter what the year is, and no matter how good the team is. So at 2, I have my Philadelphia Eagles.
Love it. 2 for me, the Green Bay Packers. I mean, they're in the stadium when it is negative 43 degrees and snowing, and some dudes don't have shirts on. One of my friend's brothers, he is the tight ends coach for the Green Bay Packers, and he was telling me recently that they tailgate for every practice, like full grills, TVs, beers. Coaches are walking, and they're like, yo, you want a burger? He's like, maybe after. He's like, all right, go pack Coke. Like, rabid. They're out of their minds because there's nothing else to do.
There it is. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
They got nothing else going on up there except for being freezing inside.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. We're on number 2, right?
Yes.
I got too distracted by that great point. Number 2 for me, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is where the Bills would be if they weren't such nice people. But since the people of Pittsburgh are kind of opposite of the people of Buffalo, if I had to guess, the Steelers are in at number 2. And if the TikTok comments have anything to say, the Steelers fans are very passionate.
Yeah.
They're always loud in the comments.
That's why I'm friends. I've made allies with them. All right. At 1, I have the Buffalo Bills. You always see them going through tables. You see them getting covered in ketchup and mustard before the games. But until relatively recently, this was a very bad team. And no matter what, they were showing up, causing chaos in upstate New York. And honestly, their stadium isn't even really in Buffalo. It's out in a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood feel, and they just go to some random neighborhood, terrorize the place, tailgate, jump through your mom's picnic table, and call it a day. They're the best fans. I love them to death. So at 1, I have Bills Mafia.
One for me.
Pants. I forgot to mention Bills Mafia. Their pants, they're cool.
Yes.
Move on.
1 for me, Bills Mafia. Aidan and I have the same brain. You can't put another fan base ahead of them. Vince obviously is going to, but he's wrong. They jump through tables. They're drunk constantly, and they donate to other people's charities, which I do love, Vince. I'm not a terrible person. Bills Mafia, number 1, can't beat it.
I love it, but personally, I think you have to be a bad people to be number 1 on this list, which is why I have the Philadelphia Eagles at number 1. I've lived around the city my whole life. I've lived in Center City for the last few months, and let me tell you, there's no one worse than Eagles fans, and that's why there's no one better than Eagles fans.
On the way out the door of Game 5 last night, there was "fuck you Westbrook" chants, and it went straight into an Eagles chant at the Sixers game. Those were the two going back and forth as everyone paraded out of the arena last night. Not even a "let's go Sixers." Fuck you Westbrook. Let's go Eagles.
That's what it is. EAGLES, Eagles at every game. All right. Let's finish this off. We'll get Vince out of here, and we will end this show. Rob Ellis, again, was just unbelievable. I had so much fun. I'm so happy that he came on, and I can't wait to get him back once the season starts.
Great guest, great show. Thank you everybody who listened and watched, because YouTube has been fantastic lately. Thank you again to Stateside Vodka. Got to get our hands on these vodka sodas because I like the look of the can. I can tell they're going to be good. You got anything else here for us tonight?
That's it. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. If you have a Facebook like my mom, Boomer, we're going to be definitely pubbing a lot more of the podcast on Facebook. But go follow and subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can see our beautiful faces and listen wherever podcasts can be listened to. But that was episode 61. We will be back next week. And this show dropped on Friday because we normally record on Wednesdays, drop on Thursdays. But the Sixers don't like us recording on Wednesdays, apparently. And that's when they're playing. So we have been keeping you on your toes for our release dates.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach. That
Be
it?
the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.